Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm your host, Chris Gennaro. My co-host is Rizk. And today we have Déhà and Laura from the band Slow. How you doing, guys?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. So lot to get to today, not only with Slow, but Déhà, you have just a disgusting discography that's like so massive that, it's hard to wrap my head around. But let's get started with Slow and how you guys came together. I was looking through some of the Slow backlog, and it looks like, Laura, you maybe started to get involved maybe in like the 2017 range. So let's just talk about how the Slow got evolved and got together and where you came in.
All right. So it was about 2017, a little before that. I met Déhà at a festival in Liège in Belgium. He was playing with several of his bands, and I was there with my web scene at the time. I was working as a reviewer. So I was there with my friend, and my friend had met Déhà earlier, like a year before that, and he interviewed him. So he introduced us. And then we tried to keep in touch because Déhà was still living in Bulgaria at the time. So it was mainly over a messenger that we were talking. And then later, when he moved to Belgium, we started to hang out and make music. First, we had another band. And then I got involved with Slow when, well, basically Déhà sent me a message one night to tell me that he had written an album, Funeral Doom album, and he was like, hey, do you want to listen to it? I could use some opinion on the album, and also I'm really stuck with the lyrics, so if you have anything at all, like, can you let me know? So I listened to the album, and just as the album was playing, I started to write some things down, and I don't know, I was just scribbling things on autopilot. And by the end of the album, I had the draft of what was going to be the lyrics for Slow eventually, for Oceans eventually. So I sent that to him and he liked it. And then with his permission, I continued to work on it. And yeah, it ended up on the album. And that's how I joined Slow. He asked me to join the band as a lyricist after the release. And of course I said yes.
Okay. Now you guys did another project together, the Terzile, which I'm sure I said incorrectly. Which came first? Was it Slow or that one, or did one come before the other?
I don't really remember. I think it was before. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
I think it was just a bit before, but like they pretty much overlap each other.
Yeah.
It's like when you meet like someone that actually understands you, like music wise and everything. It's kind of like I'm not gonna say love at first sight, but like in a musical way, it could be like that, because everything that she said is exactly it, but in a very formal way. I mean, you gotta imagine that I was completely above everything when I got the lyrics. It just spoke to me, and just not because of like whatever it fit the music, but just it spoke to me as the creator of this music. So it was obvious that we would start some sort of collaboration, whatever that it could be. And Terzila, it was yeah, I think it was just a bit before we actually, like, I got into asking her for Stowe. I think so. Mind is blurry though.
Okay.
But I think that.
And then it seems like you play bass on some of the stuff. I see some notes that you did some backing vocals, but it's funny, I don't hear a ton of female vocals in Slow, but I assume they're there sort of in maybe an ambient sort of way.
Yeah, I am not, I don't want them to be too much in the, in the spotlight. I just add my voice to the choirs here and there. And for one of the tracks one of the first tracks we made actually was The Break of Dawn, and all the choirs you hear there are mine. So like I just add some stuff in the background, but it's not really noticeable. It's not the goal either.
Okay. And you mentioned in the pre-interview that you live in a different part of Belgium. than Déhà does. So I assume that you guys don't get together as much physically as you do sending files and stuff.
We try to meet up regularly. I mean, different parts of Belgium are still like 20 minutes away. Belgium is so tiny, it's not even that much of a difference.
Not that far. Yeah.
No, it's not that far at all. It's more because we're both very occupied people. We both have a very busy life, but we try to meet up as much as we can.
When we do, we just we make it that we're not just losing time. I mean, we actually catch up. Everything is fine. We have all the time for us to speak to whatever we have, and then actually when we just go with music, we know that we're not gonna have like tons of hours and everything, so we're just making them count, and that's pretty much how we work right now. And it's okay actually. It's going pretty okay.
Okay, it's funny sometimes. When I talk to bands where there's a limited amount of members. Obviously, you guys got 2 members. But live shows become a problem. I know sometimes I talk to 1 member band or single member, 2 member projects, and they're like, definitely no, we can't play out. So I was curious what you guys have done live. It seems like if you guys met at a live show, Déhà, that you do live shows at some point.
I do, but I'm not like such a big fan of lives, let's be honest. And I think this is a very, very personal and biased opinion, but I like the show, definitely. I just hate everything which is before and after. And it's not a question that I'm so wanting to stay home and this kind of stuff. It's just that it's annoying. It's really annoying. I would more enjoy, for example, visiting a concert and just being there as a visitor and enjoying all the music. That's not an issue. And just being there and having all the stress that you take everything is fine. Are the people correct? Do they know their shit? Everything is fine. Because I'm not like a Hitler or something, but if it's my stuff, I might be, at some point. And I'm trying to, just keep it everything as okay as I can, but I still can't help myself to be stressed. I'm a stressed person. Like very, very, very. So before I'm on stage, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to drink, I'm just going to be focused on my stuff in order that if there is a problem, they can all rely on me and the fact that I'm an overstressed asshole so that I can get everything correct. Now, when I'm on stage, when the first note is there, I'm gone. I'm a happy person, like to the maximum. So I do appreciate live shows. I just don't want to do them much. I tried touring. I didn't like it much. It's okay-ish, but it's not something that I'm super interested in right now, especially these days. Actually, it fits perfectly. And for slow, I'm not going to say that we never thought about going live. I'm just going to say that it's definitely not in the plans, especially right now, of course. But if it would be to happen, compared to like 5 or 6 years ago, where I wanted to go live with anything that I would do, I'm just gonna say that if I would be to go live with slow, it's going to be immense in the way that I really want to have something which is big, and not just another band that starts its first gig. I'm talking like something, I'm not going to say as big as the actual venue or something, but something which is worth that, maybe a headlining show, something which has not just music, something else, like huge preparations, like we're offering something. Our music is just not, it's difficult to listen to Funeral Doom by yourself with just headphones or something. So imagine in a live show where people can talk. So we need to make the audience shut the fuck up and listen. And we're not Slipknot, we can't just go like, sit on the ground and spit it out, But I want to be able to create something so big that people would just understand it. And it might be very difficult. It might take a lot of planning. And I still do not think that as a band, because Slow has a weird story, and I'm sure you would rebound on that to create a fantastic question afterwards. I consider Slow as a band that has 2 periods, even though 3 periods. The first 2 albums the third and the fourth, and starting from the fifth album, from Ocean, when Laura integrated the band, it became what I consider as the band right now. I know it sounds weird, but I consider, in a way, Oceans as the first album of the band, if you catch my drift. So even with Oceans and Dantalion, still not enough for us to just go on live shows. I mean, we still cannot go. I do not want to go and play with stuff for 40 minutes. That's a show of 60, 80 minutes minimum as well. It's Funeral Doom, goddammit. It's just not a small thing, you know. So I have ambitions, you know, if this would go live. And I think that Laura follows me on this.
Well, we talked about it a lot, and Slow is a band that's very important to us, like not just the music, but the whole, you know, emotion that's in there as well. And it's so dear to us that we want to have it completely perfect when it happens. When we go live, it has to be spot on. And until we are ready to bring that, and until we get an opportunity that fits Slow, I don't think we will do it. If the opportunity is there and we're ready for it to, you know, if we're ready to make it the best show ever, if you know what I mean, then yeah, then we would do it. But I don't think we would go live anytime soon, and not before we are ready to live up to certain expectations to people and to ourselves.
What you said.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, there's definitely an epic quality to Slow that I think, you know, when I'm hearing you talk about it, I'm like, well, yeah, like the epic quality of the music, you would sort of want to have that in a live show, and probably would, I assume, involve other musicians coming in as sort of like maybe a backing band, or you know, or maybe some theatric elements. I wanted to talk a little bit about your fourth album, Mythologize, or Mythologize. I know that you use that weird Greek letter at the end of it, so I'm always not quite sure how to say that one. But you guys did 3 different versions, or maybe this is more a Déhà question, but you guys did 3 different versions of that album. So I was, you know, I sort of appreciate being able to listen to more of like the ambient version of that album. And so I was curious how that came about, and if there was any other plans to do maybe, you know, a version of Oceans where there, you know, you maybe highlighted other elements.
It's fun that you speak about that because so album 4, and in case I pronounce it Mythology, it's just, I don't know if it's right or not. I mean, I don't care. Actually, what you're hearing, the ambient version, that's actually what I composed first. It was one of these days when I had a specific mood that I just composed ambient music. I just had no idea what I was about to do on it. And it was just a couple of days after that I'm like, hey, how about? And I just worked on it, and let's say Funeral Doomed it. And that's when the original version of the album came. So it was to me kind of obvious to release the ambient version because it was just so dear to me, because it was the original thing. And I'm gonna be honest, I really appreciate that album very much, but I'm not listening to the first version anymore. I would always go with the ambient version or the Redux version. And the Redux version is something also very dear to me because it was when we signed this deal with Code 666, and they told us that they were really, really into re-releasing our older stuff. And I'm like, yes, but let us make it better then. And actually, it was super cool because Oceans already came out, and Oceans was an effort of Laura and myself. So in the end, it was really good to me to bring Laura to Mythology because she wasn't on that album. And so to me, it's kind of like closing a chapter, but the actual right way, if you will. So yeah, 3 different editions of one album, actually. Yeah, even now, I mean, it sounds weird, but yeah, like all of them make sense. I think so.
Cool. And so let's talk about some of your other projects. And sorry, apologies, Laura, if you know.
That's fine.
So also, it's a good opportunity, I think, to mention that we do have a mutual friend in Ewan from Humanity Defiled. Just wanted to talk a little bit about that particular project, because it was sort of, you know, it's more of a death metal-y type of thing, as opposed to like your Funeral Doom. And you know, if you don't listen to metal, those two things probably sound very similar, but if you listen to metal, they're two very, very different things. So I was curious how that project came about. I mean, I've talked to Ewan a little bit about it, but curious about your side of it, and you know, maybe your view on the difference between doing a death metal album and doing the doomy funeral doom stuff.
Well, first thing first, I just would like to say that Humanity Defied is pretty much one of the best bands I've ever listened to in this kind of style. It's it's difficult to say that emotional death metal actually exists, but he made it. It was to me such an honor that he accepted that I would do vocals for his parts, for his songs, because I know he writes, it doesn't do the vocals, and he always, you know, gets amazing guests and everything. So it was already something really big to me, in order just to have him. And now that, you know, as a friend, because I consider him as a friend, and that I really want to keep on collaborating with him, whatever we can do and whatever ends up at some point. But now, I mean, I have to put a bit of like context to the name Déhà, which is, of course, it's my name, but there's this musical moniker that I use, which is of course Déhà, in which is like a potpourri of everything. I just put everything that I want, that I can, without any musical or any kind of restrictions ever. So to me, it's not a question of putting everything that I do there. I still want to be able to release quality, even if I released quantity, which was, of course, a huge problem last year, because tons of people refused to listen to my shit because you can't release more than 30 albums in a year. It means that everything is shit. Have you listened to them? No, shut the fuck up. Anyway, it's just that I have this chance, this huge, amazing luck that I've got everything in this place, that I can do a okay job as a guitarist, as a bassist, as a drummer, as a singer, and everything. And that I produce, that's my job, I'm a producer, so I can give quality, at least at the end product. The rest of it, it's music. You know, everyone just decides to like it or not. And so from this point on, when Martin from Back from the Grave Tapes came to us like, yeah, you know, I would like to make a split with you guys and something. Do you have some older songs? And I'm like, why older songs? Let's just create some new shit. It's like, okay. And yeah, it took, I don't know, like 1 week to make everything. I had the mood, and I was training, especially a lot these days, in order to play better my guitar. And in the end, it just happened. I decided to invite one of my best friends, Almost Trouble from Carnival and Cole, to sing one of the songs, because I know he's a death metal maniac, and it was just amazing just to have him. I decided just to try my best on these 3 songs, and then yeah, checking with Irvine and like, hey, dude, if you need a singer, I can be there. And it's like, yeah, okay, no problem. And I'm like, yes, thank you. And especially that his songs, the lyrics, they speak to me as well, because he's always putting an emotion in the lyrics, even if the music itself would not be the most emotional of them all. I dare to say death metal is death metal. It's like thrash metal. I'm not gonna see emotional thrash metal maybe one day, or that's a concept or something. But in my when I sang these songs, and I mean his songs, it was they touched me so much. And just for the small story, Hell Graduates. So that song that he did, I actually wrote the lyrics for it, and he told me the concept of it, and I went to watch a lot of documentaries about I can't remember the name of the school, but it's an actual school that abused students, like physically, mentally. They made them beat themselves up like a boxing ring, and it was really, really bad. And of course, it spoke to me, and was easy to write the lyrics. And of course, I just wanted Ryan to be happy, and he was happy with everything, so everything was fine. So that's why, as the Déhà thing do not have any restrictions in the music, why wouldn't I do something death metal? And especially with Humanity Defiled, that I really like for years now, and especially released on an actual label held by a very great guy, Martin, if you hear me, hello. And that's the way it is, you know. It's friends, actually. We're just friends, and that's why it was really cool to me that this is about to get released, I think, like next week, and I'm so psyched about it, because it's the very first time that I myself alone decide to do death metal, and it's going to be showing something different to people. I know that my audience is mostly into emotional music. Either it is doom with slow, for example, either it can be with depressive black metal or depressive something, because I am mostly outing my emotions. But in this, the death metal thing is going to be something completely new for people to listen to, and I'm psyched about it, because I just want also to show that finally, after training and focusing and my playing and everything, I'm able to do this, and I think that everyone should be happy about such advancements in life, in whatever we can do artistically speaking, and I really am super happy that I can play that fast now, so I could do such music, and I'm happy that it's going to be released on a tape, on the CD, and yeah, that's about it.
It's funny that you say fast, because I definitely remember somebody telling me, oh, it's so much easier to play fast than slow. You wouldn't think that, because, you know, and I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe to a certain point, but when you get real fast, then no. And
yeah, I mean, both are freakingly disgustingly difficult, if you ask me. Try to get like an 8-string guitar holding all the strings together for 30 seconds. There you go. Just even just holding this thing just like that. I mean, it's horrible. It hurts, you know. So playing fast is quite the same, because you've got the human error, which is fine because you go so fast that we don't hear it so much. But when you do slow, if you just fuck up by just doing and the string just resonates, start again. So it's both are difficult. Let's be honest.
Speaking about starting again, I think it bears mentioning that, you know, a lot of things that are possible now with home studios just would not be possible, you know, 20 years ago. So I assume you benefit from having a home studio and being able to do your own stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's pretty much my life now. I mean, I'm producing for bands, and I started, you know, by just producing my own shit. So right now it helps. It helps so much. It helps anything with my creativity, with the creativity of others. Because I can, if we have an idea or something, we can just make it happen. And I'm going to use that to rebound to something. Like last year, in December, I released an album called Panda Christmas, which is kind of like a super happy album of 30 songs, mostly covers. And my girl right there just did vocals for 2 songs. And the fun story was that I wanted to do the tattoo cover, so all the things she said, but I'm like, I already did enough songs with ladies singing, and I know that it was a bitch to me to do them because I didn't want to change the tonality of the songs. So I want to keep the same chords, the same fundamentals and everything. So it's difficult for me as a man to sing like a lady. So I will try, you know, some stuff like putting 2 vocals at the same time, so it's fine. But with this song, all the things she said, even though I really wanted to do it, I'm like, no, I'm just not gonna make it. I really need either to find someone or something. But I was like all over the place with this album, so much. And then, you know, my girl just comes to me and she's like, you should do that song. And I'm like, no shit, I really want to, but I can't. Like, I need someone that will sing that, and I need a lady. And she's like, dude, I'm doing this for you next week. And I'm like, okay. So next week she comes here, and here we go. We did that. And that was the thing which was fantastic. Like, she could just come. Like, and we just did it. Like, there's a vocal booth, everything is fine. We train each other a bit, you know, on vocals, so we can just be ready. And here we go, everything is ready. So it is definitely one of the best things that ever happened to me, that I can do everything in one place. It's so much easier, but I'm so lucky that I can do that. Not a lot of people have this chance in a way to get all the gear and everything to actually do any kind of quality music. And let's just say that as well. I'm really working my ass off in this. So I really want to stress the amount of years that I've worked in music in order to do whatever that I do right now. I still have a ton of things to learn, but at the same time, yeah, I've got, you know, my knowledge at some point from somewhere because I've worked so much, and that was pretty much my life. So instead of just, you know, getting laid, it was music. Kind of like Devin Townsend was doing at some point when he was just doing sweeping. I was just learning this shit.
Yeah, I was going to get into the Christmas album because it's not typical that you have a funeral doom band doing a Christmas album. You know, it's got 30 songs on it, which is, again, also very not typical. I wasn't sure that Twisted Sister, We're Not Gonna Take It, was a Christmas song until I heard it on your album, so that's good. And then to me, and I'm not just saying this, but I do think that All the Things She Said was a standout track for me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I did, and that's, you know, going back to, you know, the female vocals. I was, you know, when I was looking for the female vocals on Slow and not really finding them, I was like, oh, maybe Laura is more of a grunter than a singer, or not a grunter, but like a, you know. But I was like, no, this she can fucking sing. There's a, you know, her vocals on that song are just good and catchy as all shit, because
Thank you.
You'll have it stuck in your head, you know, for better or worse. And it's a cool song. So I was definitely hoping that we could get some more female vocals on the Slow stuff. And
maybe I'm not very comfortable like being too loud or being too exposed. I'm a very quiet, reserved person, and I just love making music. But as soon as people start noticing what I do, I get uncomfortable. So I love that Déhà is slow, and then I add whatever I can add to slow because I love doing that, not because I want the recognition or I want to be famous or known or whatever. I really enjoy it, and it's a luxury to work with Déhà because he understands that, and he has a way of, you know, getting me involved without getting me uncomfortable. And I think the balance is always there when we do something. And I don't know, he's great at whatever he does, but especially like when working with musicians that are different than he is, he always has a way of making things work. But I don't know, maybe we will do some more female vocals for Slow, but only if it fits. I don't want to add things that are not necessary.
No, I mean, but there's a long history of female vocals in doom stuff, whether
Absolutely.
It's like Paradise Lost or Old Celtic Frost, you know, and it all, you know, I can't really think of any examples where it doesn't work, you know.
True. There are some great females in the genre. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to have a shout out to my, like the actual band that got me into doom when I was 15 years old, Shape of Despair, of Natalie Koskinen on the vocals. I mean, that girl, god damn it. It was just a quick story like that, but it was so much fantastic that actually right now she's a really good friend of mine, and that she actually took part as a guest singing on one of my other album with Déhà on a concept about depression, like a 5-album thingy. But she's always been the one that got me into doom music, because I will never forget when it was 2000, I was just 15 years old, and I came across that album, Shades Off, which to me is still their magnus opus. It's her voice is, it's not even used as a voice, it's used as an instrument, like as a flute, repeated over and over and over. And then at some point you just realize that everything is dehumanized to the maximum. Like that album is made so everything is dehumanized, including you to the maximum. Everything is just a mood surrounding you. And then of course, you know, she sang for like other bands like Para, for example, which is a black metal band, and she's doing fantastic stuff on it. And to me, like exactly like Love said, um, in doom or in any kind of music, dare I say, whatever, we can add anything as long as it serves the music. And when we added clean vocals, for example, on the Break of Dawn, which is the bonus track of the album 4, it was needed. Like I needed that. And I remember that I told her like I could do that, but I really think it should be you being a small amount more on top for this part. And we did. Then we did like the double vocals and everything was just perfectly as it is. So I'm never against the fact of having anything else on slow. As she said, as long as it does serves the music. That's the most important thing.
Okay. One other story I wanted to touch upon. You're in another doomy band. Again, can't pronounce shit, and I never could, but it's Yadaro. Why the Y?
Yeah, it's pronounced Idar. I know it's a bit weird because the pronunciation is fucked up, but yeah, Idar. That's the way it's pronounced.
Gennaro, okay. And I one of the albums that I've listened to from them or you is that Lost album or Lost.
Lost.
And I think there was a story behind there that it got deleted a few times.
Yeah,
and I was kind of curious about, not to bring up painful memories, but I just was kind of curious about that.
So I will try to keep it short. But so that album was composed at the end of 2010, 2011. So back then I had a co-member of the band, Larvalis, who is also a girl, and she was doing one of the sickest screams ever. I mean, you could actually hear them on Lost. And so anyways, we just finished recording the album called Ave Maria. And we decided like, okay, let's just go straight to the studio again. And I managed to compose by then all the songs. And we went directly to the studio in 2011. We recorded the vocals out of demos with an actual, good tempo, at least that. Problem is, so of course the studio had the vocals, but I lost all the files. So like hard disk crash. So I did them. Sorry, what?
Oh, I just said, oh no, that sounds like a nightmare. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's the first time. That happened 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah, with that album it happened 5 times. And like the last time was actually like it was ridiculous. Everything was just set up like I had a new hard disk, especially for backuppings. So I'm having this one and just unplugging everything is fine. I'm starting to copying it all. And there was like a power shutdown and everything, and I'm starting to smell that it's burned. And of course, it was the old hard disk. Everything burned. And I was pissed as hell. So in 2014, when I was living in Bulgaria back then, I started back. And believe me or not, but I had like every single session saved on 3 different USB keys, just in case, because like that album is fucking cursed. And in all ways, it was done in 2015. It was finished in 2015. But I wanted to have a proper release for that album. That's why it waited until 2018 to get released by Ivor Hanger Records on CD. That's why it took a long time and all of that. And hard disk loss, hence the name of the album. But of course, the album is not just about hard disk loss. It's really about. It was the very last album that I did when I wasn't sober. Because starting from 2012, I actually got sober, including drugs, so alcohol and drugs. So I still feel this surrounding thing on that album that is all about me and drugs, and how I was about to like be tired of them all and everything, because I had an epiphany, which was like, you need to face your shit sober. Like if you're depressed, if you're not well, if you have issues in your life, you can't hide between anything. You can't take the easy door. You gotta face your fucking demons and fight them. Otherwise, how can you be happy and proud not to overcome something? Or even deeper than that, how can you actually feel like your whole fucking depression if you always got them wasted? You need to face your shit sober in order so you can grow, so you can get knowledge, so you can just know shit from that on. And that happened just when I was done with the lyrics of that album. Just when I was done doing them was the very last time that I actually did drugs, I think. And yeah, it was over after that. And that album just counts about everything, like everything that we can lose, actually. How we can lose any sense of hope in humanity or ourselves, or how everything, like I almost lost my faith in Satan. I mean, it's just not possible. How? Like he's always been there. So how that shit could actually happen? And this really tells all about that. And fun fact is that I think 2 or 3 years ago, I don't even remember. So Lavalis, so the girl that I was working with, actually told me that she went out of the band because she's happy. She doesn't need to do anything anymore. She doesn't need, like she doesn't feel the need to express emotions like that. It would be just fake. And she's like, I want out because I don't want to do fake shit. And I think that that's the best reason for someone to leave a band. And I'm really, really happy about the fact that she doesn't need that. I still do. That's life, but it's fine, and it's okay. I mean, we all need, our different outlets. We need our catharsis, so we can just let shit go. And I'm happy I still have that band, still am. So yeah, that was pretty much the story of loss.
Cool. What brought you from Bulgaria to Belgium?
I'm actually Belgian born.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is that I left in 2013 until 2017. I just changed my life and just went and lived there for this amount of time. And at some point, I just came back in order to really be focused like 100% on the studio.
Okay, cool. So just change of pace. I got it. We have to say something different at first. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. It bears mentioning also, by the way, I've read a bunch of interviews with you in the past. I know you've talked about mental health issues and stuff and have been very open about that stuff. I don't know that we're going to be able to get to everything. So just so people at home listening, I will put links to other interviews that you've done in the description along with your other projects. So if people are interested in that stuff, definitely go and check out, because we're not going to be able to cover everything here, but I'll put that stuff in the back in the description. Also bears mentioning that you have a couple Bandcamp pages, and the one that has like most of your stuff combined, I think, is the Musical Excrements page.
Absolutely. Shit name, definitely. Yeah, the Musical Excrements is pretty much become kind of my own personal label, if you will, even though right now I'm trying to help a couple of friends and bands that I really deem of quality, because I reach people, which is super awesome. I'm really happy because the Bandcamp is like almost 10 years old. I think it is 10 years old right now. And I'm really happy that I can actually touch people and that they trust me and my taste. So sometimes when I just have a band or friend that actually releases an album, I'm just bringing it in the Musical Excrement page. But yeah, everything that I do, or almost everything, is there. Definitely. And yeah, just rebounding a bit on the mental illness and everything. It's pretty much, just saying things that people don't want to tell, because we all have issues, we all have problems, and at some point the fact of not telling them and just burying them inside of us is actually the main problem. And once again, just to rebound on that, the full concept of oceans is all about that. which launching the ball to Laura.
Yeah, it is a sort of an interesting phenomenon, and especially, you know, if you go through a particular type of tragedy, I found that people will come up to you and say, "Oh, by the way, I had that happen to me too," and you'd be like, "Oh shit, wow, that's happening to a lot more people than I ever thought." But why are we whispering? Like, why aren't we talking about some of this stuff? You know, and it is sort of an odd thing that happens just human nature wise.
Problem with human nature is that we, like the very lambda person, and I try not to generalize much, but here I pretty much have no choice, but the common person doesn't want to be seen with weaknesses. And the problem is that right now, within these times and this year in 2021, almost has become the opposite. Like, if you do not have a weakness, you're a problem or something. Like, if you don't assume your weakness is too much, everything is going to be wrong. I think that there's a nice silver lining between everything. We all have issues. We need to face them. We need to solve them. Like, for example, if I'm depressed, my goal is to get better. It's not just drowning into my own shit and creating like 1,000 different albums about depression or something. I want to get like the fuck out of that. Like, I want to be able to live, to go in the fucking sun without shitting myself. I mean, I want to do these things, you know. It's not a question of just like faking happiness or something. I want to get better. And if there are some people that are telling, no, I want to get depressed so I can write music, fuck that. You don't need to be depressed to write music. You need to feel stuff, anything. And to me, that's one of the biggest, that's one of the most important thing ever. We need to be able to assume our weaknesses, but we need to fight them. We need to be able to grow. And what I'm telling to people, and I do believe it's throughout my whole career in my art, let's just put it this way, is that we're never alone. We're definitely never alone. There's always going to be someone who feels the same shit that you do. If I can put this in music so people can understand, identify themselves, and that I'm screaming instead of them, and that they passively scream and they understand all of that, and this whole album puts them down, but it helps them back up, then it's perfect. And I think that this is what anyone will want. I mean, I want that with Slow. I mean, for example, how we shaped the album Dantalion. That's why we shaped Dantalion as a progressive album in a way that not the last song, but the one before that, Incendiaire. That song is like the biggest of them all, like the more with the more instrumental, the full fucking orchestra is all the way in front. It's exploding on your face, so much fucking epicness, and then it calms yourself down because you've just went like to almost 80 minutes like of huge blast in your face, and now it's time to calm yourself down. And this is why the acoustic song came in, because it's like we need to make them chill. We need to make them understand that it's not just music, but now they need to think. They do not need vocals. They need to lay down, you know, just being there on the bed, relaxing, not just being like that, just relaxing, being able to breathe again, like meditation kind of. And yeah, I think that's pretty much, you know, how I would shape everything that I do. And I think Slow is the same, and I think Love agrees with me on this. We want to help people through our music. And I always want to do this because I'm not good enough in a lot of things in my life. I know I can do music. If it helps people, then I'm happy. I can still be a motherfucker that stays at home.
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, I listen to a lot of metal stuff, obviously. I listen to a lot of non-metal stuff. There is sort of a dark thread among everything. And it is really interesting because when you go and watch real depressing stuff on YouTube, a lot of the comments are about how depressing music actually helps people. And, you know, you'll see just comment over comment, like, this got me past, you know, tough times. This was there for me when things were all fucked up. You know, and whether it's like, you know, I definitely like remember seeing a ton of comments that like on Starkweather albums about that, who were sort of like you know, a very, you know, doomy, deathy band, but, you know, but also on like Elliott Smith and like that stuff. Which sort of brings me into my one other thing. You know, it's just funny because I've reading some of your interviews, it does seem like you have a lot of the same influences of like my non-metal stuff. So I was thinking about talking about some of the other non-metal influences that you've brought in. You know, I know you've mentioned Pink Floyd, and, you know, you did a Joy Division cover so on your Christmas album, so that clearly makes me think that there's a connection there. But talk about some of that stuff.
Well, first, I just want to rebound on something. Like you were just telling, you know, about like the kind of music that really helps us out. And one of my times was the album Quietus of Evoken, and I know you just interviewed the guys, so I still haven't had the time to really watch the video. But holy shit, I'm so excited because I really was waiting, you know, for me to really have the time, because Evoken is also one of my bands. Like, don't touch that band; they're just perfect. So non-metal stuff, yeah, hip hop, straightforward hip hop, West Coast hip hop, most of it, but any kind of hip hop, but mostly to the West Coast hip hop from America and the French street hip hop. It shaped me when I was a youngster so much. Any kind of pop music, like anything that would be mainstream and available at that time. That's why I miss so much the 90s, because we had everything in the top 20 at MTV. Man, it was awesome. Like, we even had like fucking Eros Ramazzotti at some point, you know, just being there in the 19 spot, like just being, oh, he's there, like he's Italian, he exists. Like, actually, someone from Italy singing in Italian is actually in the fucking top 20 on MTV. I'm like, dope. Like, and then we having like, I don't know if you remember like that band, like Love Is All Around by Wet Wet Wet, staying first like for weeks on MTV. It's like a country ballad. Then we had Crash Test Dummies, the song.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Like, I'm talking about these times, man. Like those times where you had everything on the top. You could have Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Busta Rhymes, Mariah fucking Carey. Like, anyone was there. There were no division within styles. You had techno music, Captain fucking Hollywood, and all of these things. That was awesome.
That is an interesting observation. You're totally right. Like I grew up in that time too. It was way more diverse. Prodigy and like, yeah, hip hop and all, like, yeah. Actually, a lot of my influences, I'd say, are like early '90s hip hop on East and West, that kind of stuff too. I like a lot of that stuff. But yeah, it was very diverse, way more diverse, right? Like, yeah.
But I think it is also because back then music was not a product. Music was just music. We evolved with having music becoming a product for people. Everything is just studied right now, so it just touches people. It makes them want to dance. And I don't say that it's bad. I mean, believe me, like, I'm the first one to dance on a shit song. Like, give me wet ass pussy, I'm gonna dance on this motherfucker, no problem. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm as open-minded as they can come. It's just that at some point, if I really want to go down and understand, like, if there is a concept, no, it's just made to make people dance and just move and everything. It's not this, I cannot compare this to Metallica's One, for example, which has a huge concept talk about war and something, or even my own music or someone else's music. I mean, depending. At some point, I just believe that evolution in the wrong way, but I also think that there are a lot of independent artists which are really becoming mainstream, and that they're not just, I'm not going to say mindless music releases or something, but take Lana Del Rey, for example. Like, anything that she does is personal, emotional, deep, talks to people, talks to anyone. She makes me, you know, having these 90s feels back.
Yeah.
You know, I'm having this thing because she does whatever she wants. She's got her own style and everything, but she does whatever she wants. And despite, you know, the singles and everything, you really want to listen to the album. At some point here, when you're listening to, yeah, I don't know, take Lil Pump, for example. You listen to Lil Pump, yeah, it's fun. but that song is fun, or the singles are fun. I don't even know if Lil Pump has an album. I don't even care if he has an album, because it doesn't make me want to go, down the album. Lana Del Rey, yeah. Billie Eilish, fuck yeah. The Weeknd, fuck yeah. But there's like at some point you need something. You need something in the background, just not just music to sell or just to make people dance. You need something. And I think that's why Panda Christmas worked a bit, because it talked to all these people from the 90s, including the people that were born like in the late 90s, because these songs are absolute, like everyone fucking knows them. And I think that this is why it worked in a way, because it's just feel good music. It's meant to be just feel good music with a small amount of metal inside, but it's just feel good music. And people need that, especially right now. We just have like music that are copies of copies of copies of copies, or they sound like they've been already done or redone, or they're once again another cover of that Sting song, even though I love it, Shape of My Heart. It's like, how many times have been that song being covered live by another artist, another artist, another artist? I mean, it's fine, I get it, but come on, do something original. Like we all do in the underground. People do. And I'm like, we're talking about the underground of metal music. There's an underground in any kind of other styles. So, and this is where the gems are. People should just go and find whatever is there, And right now, no, people they just want to consume, with an open face like that and getting everything there. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't like getting political, but fuck Spotify.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are mad at Spotify too. They don't. You get like a couple cents for whatever, or not even a cent, a fraction of a cent per spin.
It's just. If it would be something that was made by musicians for musicians or something like that, I would get it. But when you're getting like the guitarist of Toto, who did guitars for fucking Michael Jackson, is complaining because it's like, no, this is bullshit. Like I'm getting like a couple of euros. And I did guitar for Michael Jackson. Like, fucking Christ. Yeah. I mean,
it's too bad Bandcamp can't somehow, like, I don't know, come up with a feature like that in some way. Because Bandcamp is a lot better with compensating the artists,
But they do. That's the thing. Like, Bandcamp actually have the same thing. Like, if you bought the album on Bandcamp, you can like stream it whenever you want, wherever you want. It's just that people just want to get with playlists. They want to get with that. They want to get with other things. And like how can I say, the sheer laziness of it all, man. It's like, not that I have anything against Apple so much, not so much, still a bit. Let's just keep it on the wraps. But like it's the same with Apple and Androids. Like you're having Android, like you can do a ton of things. You can customize your shit. Apple, no.
You cannot.
But everyone loves fucking Apple because it works. It's so fucking simple that it works. Spotify is quite the same. It's simple, it works, and of course, shit tons of people are using it. I mean, I'm going to be a hypocrite here. I'm using Spotify not as a listener, but as an artist. It still doesn't work. I mean, I've had Spotify for 1 year. I've released more than 40 things on Spotify, which is a fucked up. I'm still waiting for my first 10 euros. And that's the way it is. And it's not a question of being known or something. It's just that the world right now works like that. This guy, the CEO of Spotify, doesn't know shit about music, but he's telling us that we can't release an album like every 2 or 3 years because it's not going to work. What the fuck are you talking to? I mean, like you don't even, I'm not going to speak to you about business, so shut the fuck up. So it's pretty much, it just makes me sick. Because I'm all about discovering new artists. It's all about just music. Once again, everything goes down to music. And nowadays, people would just go back to the same stuff, always the same things, and not wanting to listen to new stuff because comfort zone. Spotify is a comfort zone for everyone. And sometimes when, I want to discover, I'm just going to go on a playlist. Yeah, but it's a playlist of people that paid to be on the playlist. It's a place that people, actually paid for millions of streams, so you can be, oh my God, they have like 5 million of streams. It must mean that it's nice. No, it's not. But that's the way it works. we're in 2021. Gotta live with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this in a way. If it exists, it should have a purpose. Maybe I'm too blind to see it, but I don't know. Gotta live with it. I'm not gonna be fully against it. Once again, I have it like as an artist. I understand the purpose. A lot of people are telling me that they use it every day and that it really makes their life easier. Okay, so I can't judge. I'm not gonna judge. I'm just gonna say that if you're a businessman and you talk to me about music, no, I'm not gonna listen to you.
No, nice.
My rant is finished.
I was afraid to jump in there.
Okay.
So as we wrap it up, let's just talk about just what things we want to promote and stuff. It's a scary question with you, Déhà. So I'll start with Laura. What zine were you working on? And is there any zine stuff you would like to promote, or any zine stories? You said you were mentioning a web zine, I think, at some point.
Yeah, I did work for a webzine. It still exists, but we're not very active on it anymore because both me and the guy that I'm having the webzine with, we are busy with our careers at the point. So it has some nice stuff on there, but it's not very active. If you do want to check it out, it's called Murmur Metal, but it's all old stuff on there.
Okay, now old stuff is old school death metal, I can tell you, is very popular. So
yeah, of course. Yeah, we focus mainly on black metal, so
black
it
metal.
has a lot of black metal albums on there if you're into that.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're doing Funeral Doom, I'm sure there's a massive crossover with black metal. I mean, the Venn diagram is like this,
Yeah.
So I'm sure people are going to be interested in that. Like I said, we put all the links in the description. So
Fine.
if I can't find it, well, I'll get the link from Déhà and stuff. Again, Déhà, I know. I think you have something like 800 or 900 albums out. So I'm totally scared to ask you like what you want to promote, but let me. We talked about the obviously Slow. We talked about the thing with Humanity Defiled, which I just thought was an awesome death metal album. I know you did some stuff with, I think, Clouds.
And it's back in the day. I'm not in Clouds for a lot of years now.
Right, but I mean, yeah. And
the beginning.
Something we'll probably know.
I was there in the two first album and the EP, and to me the first album is one like hell of a masterpiece of Death Doom. It's really, really perfectly written. It's an amazing album with like amazing people, amazing vocals. Like everything is just perfect in that album. Yeah, you cannot listen to that album and not feeling shit. Like that's pretty much how I feel with that album. Thanks so much. But yeah, I've like the only thing that I would like to promote in a way would be the latest thing that I put out, which was of course last week, because as you know, I'm always putting shit out. It's not 800. I mean, I never count. I never do that. It's called Par le sang et la faim, and it's a collaboration that I wrote with during the actual first confinement last year in March with Chris Dowson from Elusive Travel. He's an American multi-instrumentist, mostly a drummer as well. And the story of that is that he just went in a studio and he just sent me a picture of his setup. And I'm like, want to do some shit for me? He's like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, just do whatever, Doom. He's like, can I do Blast? Yeah, whatever. But just do Doom. So he sent me like a lot of, like a pretty big file. Like, I don't know how long it was, like 30 minutes or something. And I really like just that. And I'm like, for the first time in my life, I'm going to compose out of these drums. And this is what I did. And the thing is that the quality of the drums was okay, but not, of course, the best ever. So I decided to go with something dirty. And I ended up doing something which became maybe too big, even for me. That album is what I would call an extreme funeral doom release. So if any people would recognize the name Wormflame, Senthil, or Black Bile, for example, or even Bunkur, those are bands that are really going into the extremes of dooms, which means torture, like screams, like pretty much just going full on. You can have deep growls and everything, but you're just going full suicidal black metal on top, especially with the vocals. And in the end, because I despite everything, I mean, the confinement was okay for me because I decided to be strong for a lot of people to help them out. But there were times that it was really heavy to me. And as you guess, I'm a very emotional person, and I tend to go to music whenever I need something. This is what happened. So this album was pretty much my way to spit everything that I needed to spit, because I hated the fact that it didn't touch me much, because I'm supposed to be a good person, and that the confinement was supposed to touch me, that I'm not seeing friends or family, not so much no more. So I should be, you know, sad, but I wasn't. And I hated myself for that because I was very comfortable with everything. So this album tells a story about someone who's torturing someone else, and in the end happens to be that same person. It's like self-torture, and then the torturee become the torturer, and everything has a huge French like concept in French about it. And the album is sick as fuck. It's pretty much one of the sickest things that I've done. I'm super happy about it. Got released through Solitude Productions from Russia on CD, and I'm super, super happy about it. And for the rest of it, it's going to be at least 10 albums this year, so I don't even want to get into it.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll put all the links down, but you know, as we said, the musical excrements thing on Bandcamp is a way for people to just get it all in one place. So that'll be the first link I put down in the description. So I think we'll wrap it up now. And obviously just really super appreciate you guys coming on. I was really happy to get the both of you on at the same time, because I know with the time difference, it was a little bit of, it can be a pain for everybody to figure out that one time. So I really appreciate you guys coming on, and looking forward to a lot of the stuff from Slow, because I just think it's awesome.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. Really
nice chat.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everybody. That's it.
Have a good one. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.